Are you rolling?
Rolling.
What do I do with my hand? So today we're going to be making a Dichroic Galaxy cane. I've done a little bit of the prep work ahead of time. I've got a strip of rainbow Dichroic. I think they call this one Rainbow B or something like that, or it's like the green magenta Dichro, a little pinker in the middle. And I've got a piece of flat clear rod that'll get applied to. This is just a small cane setup. Typically for my main production I do larger canes, but this is for a custom order. So we're going to be doing this one today. So dichroic glass was primarily developed by NASA. It's used as a coating to reflect solar radiation on space shuttle windshields, astronauts' visors, some of the tiles on different NASA devices, shuttles and whatnot. But its history dates back, a few thousand years or 1,500 years, something like that. The Romans were using it to tell if the royalties' drinks had been poisoned. And dichroic is the coating that makes this piece of glass so reflective. It's quartz crystal and different metal oxides, and the number of layers of the coating determine the color that we see. And so for this rainbow one, it's got a gradient to it, and I believe how it's made is they actually put like a barbecue grate in front of the sheet of glass when the metals are being applied. So the areas where the grate blocks it gets less metal, and the areas where the grate is not blocking gets the most. Dichroic is very sensitive to heat, so I'm only heating up the non-coated side of the dichroic. I'm just building up a nice heat base in it. And if I were ever to touch that coated side in the flame, it would start to burn pretty quickly and end up in a non-sparkly end product. So definitely gotta kind of baby it. I really like to make sure that it crackles a little bit before I apply it. That seems to get the best results for sparkle in the long run. It's just getting to that crinkly point right now. So I'm about ready to apply it to my piece of clear flat rod. As I said before, I normally do this in about twice as large of sections, but this is a small custom order, and so we're just doing a small cane today. I also have a large arbor press I use for my bigger canes. This one will not require that, but this is a very handy tool. Instead, I'm just going to be using the hand masher. Just trying to make sure the dichro is fully melted onto the clear stock. Again, being careful not to overheat any of it. I applied the coated side to the clear stock, so the dichro is fairly protected right now, but still need to be mindful not to get it too hot. Alright, I'm going to add a couple stripes of clear glass to kind of help seal the dichroic on here, to help avoid trapping any air bubbles. Trying to fill in the seam between the dichro and the clear stock. Alright, we'll get that melted in really nice, because if it's not, that could also trap bubbles when I go to make my sandwich. Making a dichro cane is just kind of like making a sandwich. We're going to do the favorite half sandwich style as a kid. No one wants a full sandwich cut in half. You want it out of one piece of bread folded in half. So that is what I am doing here today. I will also change up my approach to canes depending on its application. So today, I am doing the fold in half technique, where the dichro gets folded in half, because I want to use this cane for pendants. So I want the most amount of dichro and the smallest amount of cane, mixed with the least amount of clear glass for a pendant to keep the volume down. Whereas if I'm doing a marble, I would fold over a clear half on top of the dichro, so it'll be basically twice as much clear to dichro, so that in a marble I can get a little more volume and space out the sparkles a bit more. So get everything nice and hot. Just hot enough, I should say. We don't want it white hot, otherwise that's where you'll burn out the dichro. Dichro's still looking really nice. Just really heating the inside here, since those are the areas that are going to make contact. Maybe heat the middle and the back. And then fold it in half. So I've kind of got a loop here now. I want to make sure I don't trap any air bubbles in there. So the next step is I'm going to actually squish it with the top of my paddle to tag the middle together to avoid trapping air bubbles. Now from here you could use a regular masher to start squishing it together, but that first step really helps to avoid air bubbles. So there's my folded in half sandwich. I've got clear on the outside now, double layer dichro on the inside. I'm gonna give it one more squish here, and then I'm gonna fill in the sides a little bit more. Sides tend to get a lot of exposure once you twist it up a cane, exposure to the heat, that is. So I like to fill them in, give that dichro a little bit more protection. So you can catch some of the sparkles there. Now, I'm going to start striping clear glass down the sides and kind of building it up. You'll see I'll do several layers here. Again, just trying to build up some protection for that dichroic. Once this sandwich gets twisted up, these outer edges are essentially the entire outside of your cylinder, and so just make sure there's plenty of buffer there to protect that dichroic, otherwise the edges of your sparkly dichroic cane will be gray and not sparkly. So I got that side pretty well layered up. Shape it up here, try to keep it uniform. That'll help my cane shape up nicely. And I'll hop over and do the other side. So you can see that glowing left side is way wider than where the dichro ends on this side. So I'm going to build up the clear glass on the right side now. it in real nice. Shape it up a little bit. All right, so the next step is to twist this up. So I'm just going to heat up the base a little bit more, try to get some of these seams where my stripes ended just a little more melted in. Then I'll stick a handle on the opposite end, and once it's nice and hot, spin one hand a little faster than the other to twist up this sandwich into a cylinder. Build up some heat. I'm going to twist this quite a bit. I really want to break apart my Dichro, but that's another variation that you have control over. The amount of twist that you put in it will determine how fragmented and splintered up your Dichro will look. There are different types of Dichro that break apart differently as well. But again, in a pendant, I want my cane to end up fairly narrow, so it's easier to break down for pendants. I also want it really fragmented so I don't have to twist it anymore when I go to use it. This is definitely a step you have to be careful about overheating. I've burned out many canes at this step by getting stuff too hot. Alright, so probably can't tell, but it's twisted pretty tightly. Got about a, I don't know, 14 to 16 millimeter diameter to the cane, which is pretty nice. I'm probably going to leave it about there. Just going to melt on this handle a little bit better. That'll be my handle that I leave on the cane and use it to work off of as I use up the cane for different projects. And then I'll just work on kind of finishing up the end and getting it ready to go. So a lot of times at the end of your original handle, you'll get some little air pockets. Maybe the Dichro twist isn't the best there. You can always take that little section off. You want to prep this to be ready to use, and nothing like making your first piece and just putting a big old bubble in it because the cane itself had a bubble. So you can kind of see that really defined swirl. That's a big air pocket that I'm going to end up taking off of here. I really like to use my V-marvers to separate cane and get really accurate about where you want things to come apart. And then you don't overheat and do anything else to mess up your twist. So I like to score it where I want it to separate, and I'll use my diamond shears to do the rest of it. Just kind of necking it down, stressing it out. A little wiggle releases it. So now, got a nice sparkly little galaxy cane there. I'll be able to make many pendants from. See if I can turn it to the end here. You might be able to see some more of the sparkle. Turned out really nice. So that'll go into the kiln and we'll make some pendants from it.